tell them which one you have. So there's two on the inside. Unscrew it, yep. So there's an on switch in there. Yep. Oh. I just have a question when you have a second. So are you going to want to be singing during the white stone stuff? Are you going to want to be singing during the white stone part or after the, how are you going to do that?
Leading into it while I'm talking and doing the guide, you can do this tinkling. And then coming out of it too, I suppose, if you wanted to say something.
I was just thinking about that, you know, the India Arie song, I Am Light.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So just nod to me when you want to come up here. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Syracuse. You always have to beware when somebody comes at you with a remote in their hand pointing it to you. I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing something. So as we begin this year of 2020, this being our wonderful white stone service, it'll be presented by our beloved Cybie Mauro. So if you've come here today ready to write the new name that you'll be given during this service for 2020, I just ask that you'd stand. Just take a deep breath. Feel the sacredness under your feet. Feel the love that surrounds you. Feel the peace that you felt when you entered the door. Letting go of the busyness of life and just choosing love today. Choosing love today. Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present. It's what I'm made of. I choose love. Sing it with me again. Peace in my life is growing because, what do? I choose love. Love's always present, it's what I'm made of. I choose love. We're all a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us, that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present, it's what we're made of. I choose love. We're all a part of each other. We are one loving family, sharing one son. I choose love. Peace for our planet is growing because why? Yeah. Let love be present. It's what we're made of. I choose love. We're all a part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us. Let this be the one. Let me hear you. Oh, I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Yes, we do. Good morning.
New Year. And as always, we will begin our service with a reading of the daily word, so just relax, because that's the daily word. I give my mind and body permission to rest and relax. For many were coming and going, they had no leisure even to eat. While these words of Scripture were written long ago, they accurately describe the frantic, swarming pace of life so many people find themselves experiencing today. Think Christmas shopping. The invitation from Jesus to visit a deserted place to rest speaks directly to my soul. While I may not be by an ocean shore or on a forested mountaintop, I can go to a deserted place that is always available to me. At first, dedication and practice are needed to journey inward and find my way to silent peace. I learn to stop and give my mind and body permission to relax. I come to know relaxation as worthy of my time, vital for my self-care, and essential for my personal and spiritual growth. And from Psalm 23, He makes me lay down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. I had no idea how to do this in my life. It was move, 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 go, go, go. You go to work, you come home, you have chores to do, and somewhere around, well, now I'm older, so around 8 o'clock, I'm asleep on the couch trying to watch television. But here I've learned that I can take 5 minutes anytime I choose. And the hardest part for me is not finding my way in, it's relaxing my body. It's learning to let go of that energy that is just telling me my feet to go or my brain to go, and to take that breath. I think that's the toughest thing to remember for me. Just take that breath and begin to slow yourself down. Your mind will follow if you can get your body to slow down. So for me, it's become part of my practice. And here we know that we practice what we try to learn here. And that's what this said to me this morning. That if I do this on a daily basis, if I give myself permission, because that's what the end of this said to me, if I understand that I am worth the time, and I learned that here too. So give yourself that gift sometime this week. Slow yourself down. Just relax. Fall asleep in front of the couch at 8 o'clock, whatever. It is our first Sunday, and so our children are upstairs. So welcome to children. And it is also Power of the Month. So you're going to pretend like I'm 6, okay? Because I'm it. Power of the Month is faith. The disciple is Peter. The color is blue. And the location is the center of the brain. So if you would stand with me, we're going to do our statement of being, followed by our sacred greeting, which means that we will not leave our seats, we'll simply acknowledge each other. Thank you. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And now take time to greet each other, please.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, yeah, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on the bridge, up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. No one else can make me forgive. But once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. No one else can lighten my load. Let's change our mind. But once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. my decision right here and now. My decision right here and now.
Just have a few announcements. Request from the kitchen team. If you're here at the end of the service of the lunch today, would you please stick around and help take down tables? Because the ladies are having a little hard time with that. So please offer your service. Today our new members class began at 10 o'clock. It's taken the place of the discussion group. And I have to tell you folks, we are truly blessed with our potential new members. It was a wonderful time together, and the energy in that room was amazing. So please, if you are interested in being a member, you can join us next week. And if you're already a member, you can just join us and get to know new folks. So thank you. Looking forward to getting to know them. Quick reminder about, since it did snow a little bit, don't park on the side of the church because the ice will fall off and hit your car, and that really happens. We were talking in the group today about the fact that Unity doesn't have a lot of rituals, but today's a ritual. So it is the white stone ceremony. So on your way in, you should have gotten a white stone and a pencil and a little yellow card. If you haven't gotten that, would you raise your hand and the ushers will bring you one? You've been here since 8 o'clock. If you've never been a part of this service, you will love it. Community outreach meeting is today. I'm assuming it's in the green room at 12:30. If you have not gotten your Unity calendar, they're still available in the back. And then finally, in February, on February 20th, Interfaith Works holds a dinner. It's a dinner dialogue around different religious backgrounds. And we have, for a number of years, participated in that. You can choose to participate as an individual, or we would like to be able to do that as a church. So two things. If you've never done it, give yourself the pleasure. You're invited to someone's home where you will be served a vegetarian dinner. And for a couple hours, you go through and answer some questions, and you get to know other members in our spiritual community from all over the place. And if you are interested to host, please let one of us know, either Sally, myself, or Cybie. And hosting just means that you would help prepare that vegetarian dinner. And usually at the church, they bring two groups, so 20 people or so. So if you're interested in that, please see one of us. And then we will have sign-up sheets downstairs next Sunday if you're interested in participating. It really is a wonderful time. Thank you. You ready to sing, Sally? It's happy birthday time. First Sunday in the month, we also celebrate anybody whose birthday is going to be in January. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're brave enough, stand up and we'll sing for you. Oh, happy birthday, Mary. Happy birthday, guys.
God is blessing you now. God is blessing you now. God is blessing you. You are wonderful. God is blessing you now. Yay!
And now is our time when we welcome our guests. But before I welcome our first-time guests, I know that there's somebody here that hasn't been here for a while. And 15 years ago, this man said to me, "Why don't you come and hear this minister?" So it has been a true gift to me that he offered that to me. So thank you for being here. So if you are here for the first time, if you would be willing to raise your hand, we have a gift for you. Nobody's here for the very first time. Well, remember that light that burns within each one of us, and when you go home, pick up a candle and light it and remind yourself. Please join us downstairs for coffee afterwards. And there are some really good cookies down there. Thanks, Maria. On the screen, you're going to see our 5 basic principles. These are the principles we live by. And every week we ask for a couple people to share how they might have shown up in your life this week. So if you're willing to share, raise your hand and we'll bring you in a microphone. Thank you, Lucy.
So every month, the first day, or maybe the last day of the previous month, I received a small pension check. Being semi-retired, I've come to depend on that. And obviously it didn't happen during the holiday, but it didn't happen January 2nd either. And I could feel my anxiety grow, and I wish I could tell you that I was, so sure that I would be taken care of that I didn't worry, but that clearly is my work for 2020. But I will tell you, even January 3rd, like the morning it didn't come, boy, I was spinning, maybe my hospital went bankrupt, I'll have to go back to work full time, things that really aren't, I could live through this, really, I could, but I wasn't peaceful with it. And then January 3rd in the afternoon, kaboom, it went into my checking account. But what it made me realize is how blessed and how grateful I am, and that most people in the world don't have that luxury. And my personal belief that I'm a privileged person, not only because I'm part of Unity, but also because my skin is white. And it just made me so grateful and want to make this year ahead one where I can share my gratitude and somehow open the door for others. So I'm actually glad that I went through that exercise. As painful as it was, it's not nearly as painful as it is every day for most people in this world. So it's a principle of gratitude and my lessons for 2020.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody.
Hi, Natalie.
So this is, we create our life experience through our way of thinking. So a goal of mine in 2020 is I want to serve the community more through food. And I contacted the guy that does If We Eat, They Eat. And I was like, he does, prepares sandwiches at Lincoln Middle School on Saturday mornings. And I had taken the youth there maybe a couple years ago. I was like, are you still doing this? And he's like, yeah, we're taking this Saturday off, but we'll do it again next week. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be there. And so I was so excited about this. And then I go to Wegmans, and who do I bump into but the guy that I just contacted? And I was like, this is just affirming that I need to show up even more. I was like, I just contacted you. I went up to him, and I introduced myself, and he was so excited that we had seen each other, and I can't wait till Saturday when I show up at Lincoln Middle School to make sandwiches now. So we create our life experience through our way of thinking. Truly we do.
Good. We talked about that in our group this morning about how people got here, and that was kind of the overwhelming answer, that I just followed the signs, and that took me where I'm supposed to go. So have fun. And now's the time we will bless our prayer requests. Will the prayer chaplains who are serving today please stand? There's Mina. Thank you. Every Sunday from 10:45 to 11:55, or 10:55, sorry, prayer chaplains are available to pray with you at the before and after service, usually someone upstairs and someone downstairs. At this time, we'll bless our prayer intentions, so please bring the prayer list forward. All right, it's good to see you. Prayer intentions are held here in confidence for 30 days. In other words, we don't look at them, then we mail them to Silent Unity where they're held in prayer for another 30 days. If you haven't placed your prayer request in the box yet, you can simply just hold that in your heart or put it in the box at the end of the service.
Deep breath in, breathing in. And just releasing the breath. Again, breathing in. And taking in all the air that we're breathing together. The trees breathe it, the animals breathe it. And just releasing it. Divine harmony. Thank you for your presence in our lives. Thank you for the opportunities, the challenges. Thank you for the insight and the clarity. As we open our hearts, we touch down with the deepest part of ourselves so that we can truly be who we came to be here and now, today, with every breath that we take. And for this and for the many blessings in our lives, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Okay, so this is Family Sundays, so I think I'm supposed to have a story for the kids. So, let's see. A story? We're having a story today? Yay! Okay, yay! All right, so why don't the kids come on up here? That be okay with you? Yeah, that'd be great. Come on, kids, come on, come on. We're gonna have a story today. Story time. Look, you got the elf on the shelf. Whoa. High five. Woo. Have a seat. Okay, so I'm gonna tell a story, if that's okay. All right, so good. Okay, so today's story is about a tree on the edge of a forest. And the tree was very tall. Like all the way up there. Yeah, that's how tall. And in the top of the tree there were branches, and in the branch, on one of the branches was a nest. Yes, a nest. And so in that nest there were 4 eggs. 4? Yes, 4 eggs. Okay, so there were 4 eggs in the nest, and those eggs, of course, were sat upon by the mother who was keeping the eggs warm until they hatched, right? Okay, so one day those eggs started to hatch, one by one, and they all came out. Every one of them? Yep, every one of them. And they were healthy little chicks, and they were hungry little chicks, and they had their mouths open, and the mother and father were busy getting food and feeding them. Did they look like this? Exactly. Okay, so anyway, they were fed, and they got healthy, and then they got a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and they got big enough to fly away from the nest. But that was a scary thing for them. Was it? Yes, it was. It was very scary. So the first little chick, he stood out on the edge of the nest, and he teetered and tottered, and then very bravely he just took off. And it felt like he was falling, but as he spread his wings, he just flew. I'm talking with his hand, you know. He just flew. So the second little bird was just encouraged by the first one's experience, and so he stood on the edge of the nest, and he teetered and tottered, and then he just like held his breath and jumped. And again, he started to fall, but he spread his wings, and he flew all the way down to the ground with a safe landing. So then the third little chick did the same thing, followed suit. She was just so happy to be trying out her wings. She had just felt this was just such an exciting experience, and she flew all the way down to the ground and landed safely. Well, go on. Okay. So the fourth little chick. She was not quite so confident. She was scared. She was nervous. She had stories in her head about, what if I fall? What if I fail? What if I get hurt? And what if I fall and everyone laughs at me? I'm not brave. I'm afraid. I'm so afraid. And she just could not make herself leave the nest. Whoa. Well, she was watching her siblings down below, the other chicks, and they were scratching in the bugs underneath the leaves. And what they couldn't see, but she could see from her vantage point, was that there was a cat creeping up on her 3 siblings, her 3 brothers and sister. And so she wanted to warn them. Oh, I hope she does, I hope she does, I hope she does. Okay, let's listen. So she tried to warn them by tweeting, but they didn't pay any attention to her. And then she was overcome by concern and love for her siblings, and so she stood on the edge of the nest and she jumped. And she opened her wings and she flew. And she landed right near the cat. And it was so startled by her landing that it took off and the other siblings were saved. They all turned to her. Yay! They all turned to her and they said, oh, thank you, you saved our lives. And you were so brave. Me? Brave, she thought? I was brave? I didn't know I had it in me. Yes, she did. She had it all the time. It's exactly right. She had it in her all the time, but she just didn't know it. And when love became the motivator, she forgot all of her fears, and she acted with bravery, which was in her from the very beginning. And so she learned to fly. Well, that was a good story. How about it, folks? You think that was a good story? Boys and girls, that was great. So, all right, I'm going to put Fuzzy Bear away. I'm going to put the chair away. I'm going to get the platform out and my microphone. So, today we're going to have the white stone ceremony. And a couple of years ago, I think I'm on. Am I on? A few years ago, when we did the white stone ceremony, I'm on inside and here. A3. Under the A3. No, there's no A. Bingo. Shall we try another one?
Just use the one from the back, so.
Okay, good idea. So this morning has been very interesting. A few years ago, the name that I got on my stone
Works now.
was, well, the name I got on my stone a few years ago was flower. Hello? This on? This on? This on? This on? Can you hear me now? Jeff, are we on? This one's A3? No? And this one was the one from the B4, under the B4. This is the one we had before.
Before.
Are we on? With. I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent you who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because you who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever you wish, knowing you go there with me. I will be healed as I let you teach me to heal. That's from the Course in Miracles. That's one of my prayers, along with the prayer of St. Francis. And so I pray that before I begin up here this morning. And so today is the first Sunday of the year. It is also the first Sunday of the decade, and it's a big decade, 2020. And so I titled my talk 2020 Vision, which we all know when we say 2020 Vision, we're talking about having perfect eyesight. That's what in the medical world is considered perfect eyesight. So the unity theme, and this is not just our unity, but the umbrella organization of unity. The theme for this year is perfect vision, seeing through a spiritual lens. So in 2020, their theme is about having perfect vision, but not by having perfect eyesight. And so it's all about perfect vision through a spiritual lens. And so a few years ago, I ran across a word that I had never encountered before, a concept that I had never seen, called hyperseeing. Has anyone ever heard that word, hyperseeing? Well, it is a fascinating concept. Hyper means beyond, and of course seeing means seeing with the physical eye. So hyperseeing would be able to see beyond what you can see with the physical eye. And it has to do with artistic talent mostly, or mathematics. As sculptors, it is the sculptor's ability to look at an uncut stone and see the final perfect form already in it. There's a story about the sculptor Borglum, who did the Mount Rushmore presidents. And his housekeeper, when she went to behold the masterpiece, looked up and she said, "Oh, Mr. Borglum, how did you know Lincoln was in that rock?" And Michelangelo, a quote from Michelangelo says, "The sculpture is complete within the marble block. Before I start my work, it is already there. I just have to chisel away the superfluous material." Everything that you are is already there. Everything that you can potentially be is already there. You have been created in the image and likeness of the divine, and every aspect of that divine is within you. And so today we're looking at how we embrace the vision for our own lives and for the world in this new year and this new decade. Hyperseeing, of course, tells us to look beyond appearances, which is what Jesus also told us. Judge not by appearances, but judge by righteous judgment. Judge from your right mind, your mind that is connected to divine mind. In order to have a vision, you need imagination, and in order for that vision to come into reality, you need to have faith. So those two work together, imagination and faith. They're the powerful keys to creating a future to love. So today, we are looking at moving into our sacred white stone ceremony, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But Jesus had this ability to see beyond what was in front of him. He could see. When he looked at someone who was ill, he did not see the illness. He saw the wholeness, and that he's healed through his vision of the truth of their being. And so there's a story, of course, in the Bible of him selecting his disciples. And the first disciple he selected was Peter. Andrew had heard about Jesus as the Messiah, and he went to his brother and said, "Simon, you must come and meet this person." And so he brought Simon Peter to meet Jesus. And when Jesus looked at Peter, he did not see the rough, impulsive, arrogant, impatient fisherman that he was. He saw the potential of faith as strong as a rock. And he said to him, and in the verse, he says, "You are Simon, son of John. You shall be called," and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but Cephas. Cephas is the Aramaic word for rock, and Greek, it's translated as Petros or Peter. So he says, "You are Simon, son of John, but I know you. I know something more about you. You are the rock." And the rock that Peter had to become was the rock of faith. And faith is the rock upon which Christianity is based. And so Simon was renamed Peter according to his divine potential. Not what was seen in that moment, but what Jesus knew was his divine potential. He called it forth by renaming him. He gave him a name that means rock, and he lived into that name. And so today we're going to have an opportunity to receive another name for ourselves that we can potentially live into, that will guide us into this year. Another renaming in the Bible is, of course, the story of Saul, who was a zealot. He was the most zealous persecutor of the followers of Jesus, mercilessly. He was very vocal, and he traveled around, really putting down Christianity. And on the road to Damascus, he was stricken, as the story goes, blinded by a light. And he was blinded for 3 days. But while he was stricken, he heard a voice, which was the voice of Jesus, that said, "Why do you persecute me?" And then in 3 days' time, he was healed, as was instructed by Jesus, by the laying on of hands. And as if scales were on his eyes, they fell off. He was blinded from his physical vision, and when those scales fell off, he could see with a spiritual eye. He was transformed, and Saul became Paul. Saul, in metaphysical terms, means the human will or the personal will, and Paul means the enlightened will. He went through a transformation, being blinded. He could no longer see what was in the physical world. And when his eyes were reopened, he saw something else than what was just before him. We have to see beyond what is. A visionary is a person who can see beyond what is in the moment. We have visionaries throughout history who have guided us to a future that has been better. And so each of us has the potential to be a visionary too, because we're all joined, we're all one, and all of what we hold in consciousness affects the whole. Our principle says things held in mind produce after their kind. What we hold in our mind, what we focus on, expands. And so we individually, what we hold for our lives is creative, and also what we hold for the world has the power to create. So, I have to move things around here. So, the White Stone Ceremony is based on history and scripture. So the White Stone in ancient Rome, everyone that was a Roman citizen was given a white stone. It was your ID card, okay? So that was entitled you to certain privileges and rights as a Roman citizen. If you went to prison, that stone was taken from you. And so you no longer had the privileges of a Roman citizen. You were no longer free, okay? And when you had served your time and you were released, you were given a stone again. And so that represented your freedom. So a few days ago, on New Year's Eve, we we went through the ritual. We don't have any rituals, though. We had our ceremony of burning bowl. And the burning bowl was a time that we reflect on those things that we'd like to release and let go of. The things that have held us back. The things that are in the past that we want to leave in the past. And so we might reflect on how those old thoughts, beliefs, or habits imprison us, take away our freedom. And so we had symbolically released these blocks to love's presence and created, in a sense, a clean slate. And so this little stone here, if you just look at it, it's a clean slate. You have this this little piece of stone which has come from Hebron, which is near Jerusalem. This is a powerful stone. It comes from very close to Jerusalem, the place of peace, metaphysically. So we can just really hold that in your hand. Maybe keep it in your hand until we use it and start to absorb its energy. We might think of that ritual of letting go as like weeding a garden, okay? We prepare the ground, but if we don't plant something on that now cleared ground, the weeds will grow back. If we release and let go, and we say we've released and let go of some old thoughts or stories that have held us back from knowing the truth of ourselves, then we have to plant something else, or those old thoughts, those old beliefs will come back to the surface. We have to keep looking at what we're planting in consciousness in order to see it blossom and bloom and create a garden that we would love to see. And then there's the biblical reason for the white stone ceremony. And as far as I know, the white stone ceremony is unique to Unity, and it wasn't started until the late 90s. So it's a fairly recent ceremony that we've adopted. And biblically, in Revelation, John says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone, which no one knows except him who receives it." So let me translate that. He who has an ear. Jesus said this at least 17 times in the New Testament. He who has ears, let him hear. He who has eyes, let him see. He's not talking about physical ears. He's not talking about physical eyes. When Jesus says that, he is speaking to a higher consciousness within us. He is saying, listen up with your hearts. Listen up and hear me at a different level than through your judgmental, analytical mind that wants to comment, correct, and make judgments. And so the verse says, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit has to say to the churches." Now, in this case, the churches means people who have turned to God as source. Okay? It's not about a physical or an organized religion. To him who conquers. And what this is referring to is conquering the ego, those old limiting thoughts and beliefs. He who has conquered the ego. And the ego is not a bad thing, as Ray alluded to last week. The ego is a wonderful servant and a terrible master. When the ego is not driving the bus, okay, when the ego is not the one pulling all the shots, it's a healthier ego. So let us make that ego the servant and not the master of ourselves. So him who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna. Hidden manna means spiritual food, inspiration, guidance, and so on. And I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone, and no one knows except him who receives it. And so the Unity ceremony is about taking this white stone and having it our clean slate of release and letting go, and being a place, a threshold where we can receive the guidance and inspiration from Spirit for a new name, a word, a quality that we want to embrace and live into through this coming year. And so this will be our ceremony in a few minutes. So as we have let go of fearful thoughts of lack and limitation, and we listen in the silence and the stillness, the heart opens and we become receptive in the ear of the heart. A long time ago, I read a book called The Ear of the Heart. And it was a biography of Dolores Hart. And she was an actress. She was the first actress to kiss Elvis Presley on screen. Okay. So some of you might remember her. She was young, she was beautiful, she was vibrant, and she was on a fast track to stardom. But with the ear of the heart, she kept hearing the call to God. And she became a nun, much to everyone's disappointment in Hollywood, much to everyone's surprise, including the man that was going to marry her. And she became the abbess of Regina Laudis Monastery in Connecticut. And so she heard a call, she heard a new name with the ear of her heart. And it went against everything in the outer, all the vision that everyone else had for her. But she listened with her own heart and moved in that direction. So this name that we will open ourselves to receive today could be a name. It could be a word like flower. It could be a quality like peace, love. It could be anything. It could be a phrase. I encourage you not to judge it. Do not try to create a name from your intellect. You're going to want a pretty word, I know. You're going to want a word that inspires you immediately. Just let it be. And you know, a long time ago, I was doing these like fairy tale cards, you know, where you pick them, and you know, and I was with a group of women, and somebody got Sleeping Beauty, and somebody else got Snow White. I got the Three Little Pigs. Oh my goodness! I was like, what? I don't want the Three Little Pigs. But you know what? Over time, the message of having pulled that card became such a powerful teacher. So do not judge the word or name that comes to you, and know that it will be exactly what you need and need to live into for the coming year. This last week, I went to see Beauty and the Beast with our step-granddaughter and our family, and Lucy was there with Ben, her grandson. It was a magnificent production at Syracuse Stage, absolutely magnificent. Beauty and the Beast is the story of renaming. So the beast is really a prince, but he has lost connection to the prince of himself. Right? Because why? Because he acted from the ego with arrogance and judgment and with no compassion or love. And so he's under a curse. And the only thing that can break the curse is what? Love. Not only does he have to learn to love, that's not enough. Someone has to love him. Whoa. And he looks pretty ugly. Someone has to see with hyper-seeing, past what is physical, past what is before their physical eyes, and see beyond that. This morning's message, John Mundy sends messages out every Sunday, and I think I have a quote here from this week. He says, for good or ill, we become what we think about. The problem with the ego is that it is a self-made image of ourselves. It is our persona. It is not who we are in truth. Beast, in truth, was not a beast. We cannot be both a creation of God and self-created. Which do we want to be? Our task on earth is to awaken to a remembrance of who we are in truth. I love the definition of Jesus as it appears in the Course in Miracles. Jesus was a man who saw the face of Christ in all his brothers and sisters and remembered God. When we see through the eyes of love, we can awaken in the other what is the truth of their being. When beauty sees with the eyes of love beyond the physical form of beast, she awakens within him the truth of his being, and he becomes that truth in the outer. My goodness. Okay. So, Jesus saw the face of Christ in all his brothers and sisters. And sometimes, as Mother Teresa said, Christ shows up in all of its distressing disguises. And so, no matter how distressed a disguise may be, we see that face of Christ within each and every one of us, and it's within you. So there's a quality, there's a name, there's an embodiment that is longing to express. We each have within us all the aspects and all the powers of God. And yet, what is wanting to express in this next year for you is longing to come forth. Maybe one aspect. It's not about becoming perfect, but seeing perfectly that we are all the face of Christ. And we are all the visionaries of our own lives. And so let's take a few moments here for this opportunity for Spirit to call forth in each of us an aspect of our innate divine potential. Let us give a new name to represent that which is being called forth and longing to be expressed in and through you in this coming year, to bring you closer to the truth of your being, so that you might be not only healed in your own life, but a healing for others and for this planet. And so if you would now take your stones in your hand and just feel it for a moment. And we'll move into this time of meditation in which we open the ear of our heart and the spiritual eye. So the white stone that you're holding, feel it in your hands. Feel its smoothness, its texture, its coolness. And as you close your eyes, try to connect with the energy of the stone and the peace it represents and the pure potential, the divine potential within you. So breathe in peace and breathe out any unpeaceful thoughts. Breathe in love at your heart center. And as you breathe out, center in your heart. Settle into that peaceful sanctuary within. The sanctuary where the indwelling Christ presence forever resides. The sanctuary where you can touch the truth of your being and let it come forth. So as you feel the stone, know that it represents unlimited possibilities of the life that beckons you. Consciously connect to the presence, love, and grace of God. And now let my words be your words. I let go. And I let God. I now free myself to live more fully, releasing the limitations of the past, letting go of old beliefs, thoughts, stories, habits. I let them go because they no longer serve me. And my intention is to live from the highest version of myself. I surrender now to God's law of love and grace. I surrender limiting images of who I am. And I open to knowing myself to be a glorious expression of the divine, here to make a difference, to be a contribution to life itself. I imagine myself now leaving a prison of limitation, leaving behind the shackles of negative thinking. And the door before me opens. I walk through to freedom. I am handed a white stone, and it reminds me that I am free. I am an expression of divine potential. This stone represents unlimited possibilities in my life. I open to receiving a new name. I am free. I am blessed by Spirit. I allow myself to embrace a life of unlimited possibilities. I allow my truest, highest, most glorious self to emerge. I reflect and meditate on a new name. I open my inner ear to hear a new word that I will claim for this year. A word or a name that will inspire me to live from my highest self. A name that will help me live in such a way that is a benefit for all. And so I listen. I listen, knowing that the word is already written on my stone in my heart, trusting and knowing that in the perfect time, it will come. I listen now in the silence. And listening with the ear of the heart. If you have heard a name, a word, a quality that you know has come from the deepest part of yourself. You can write it on your stone. If you have not received such a word, do not despair. Take the stone with you and be open and receptive to receiving it. It will come. And so as you hold that stone in your hand again, feel the blessing of gratitude flowing through this room as we have received new names. A thankfulness flows through the sanctuary as we feel the aliveness of the process of evolution in consciousness. We have received new ways of being, new inspiration, new ways to make a contribution through the unique, individualized expression that each one of us is. It is a new way of calling forth heaven on earth. As we live into our new names and are inspired to live and embody those qualities, we help bring that new earth and new heaven into reality. We become the visionaries for a world filled with love, peace, joy, and hope. As we continue to live from these names that we have been given, the strength of God is in you, expressing as you. This is your divine reality. It is the divine revelation that you have taken on for this year, 2020, to live into, to embrace, to embody. And for the sacred and holy gift of these new names that have come from the wisdom of our own hearts, connected to the heart of the divine, calling us all higher, we say, in great gratitude, we affirm and pray, it is done.
I am light, I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I'm not my race, my soul inside is all light. Sing it with me. I am light. 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 Yes, you are. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light.
Indeed, Jesus told us, ye are the light of the world. So whatever name you have received, shine the light of Spirit in and through it and express it.
Yes.
As you go forth into 2020, making it the best year, the best decade, and making it a planet filled with peace, hope, love, and joy. And today's affirmation: with perfect vision and in faith, I see and embody my new name as my divine potential. Together we say, with perfect vision and in faith, I see and embody my new name as my divine potential. And holding your stone in your hand, one more time. With perfect vision and in faith, I see and embody my new name as my divine potential. Namaste. All right, so now you have that beautiful stone that you can take with you and put it someplace where you can see it and it can remind you of what's calling forth for you to express in your life. And so now we come to that time of our service in which we receive our love offerings, our gifts, our tithes. And so as you bring them forth and hold them in your hands and bless them with your love, we say together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. You are my source. And may these gifts that we've received today be magnified in that spirit of love and peace. And may it bring about that hope throughout the world as we send that ripple of gratitude to everyone. And we say thank you, infinite, eternal spirit, you are our source and sustenance. Amen.
Amen.
Our children are already up here, but we will bless our children. So let's all stand. And we bless our children
Wherever they are, and we see them surrounded by love and light throughout the week. We have a thriving and expanded youth and family ministry.
Okay.
is over us. Wherever we are, God is and always will.